Hello everyone. Thank you for stopping by my YouTube channel, Get Crafty with Sally. My name is Sally Poole. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Welcome. Today is Sunday, the first day of October, so happy fall. Happy October to all of you. Today we're going to be making this card with the Merriest trees bundle. It looks like it might be kind of hard to see on the video. The reason I ended up with this design actually is I wanted to use the new metallic enamel effects basics gold in particular, so that is where the whole thing evolved from. So I am using the Merriest trees bundle. Fabulous set. This tree is wonderful and you can do a lot of different things with it. There's a ton of dies in here that are really cool, and there's also a tag die in the die set that we'll be using. So it is in the mini catalog, September through December 2023. It's on page 12. You can buy the stamps, or you can buy the dies, or you can buy them as a bundle and get 10% off the price. So that's the way to go, because I'm sure if you get the stamp set, you're going to want the dies. So you might as well get it all. And I always forget to mention this. For those of you that don't have a demonstrator and are looking, I would be happy to chat with you about that. I do offer a shipping refund on standard shipping of orders of $60 or more. So get a hold of me if you think you might be interested in placing an order and getting your shipping refunded. Okay, so let me show you what we're going to need to make this card. I'm going to take this pink out of here now. And I always have a PDF of the measurements and the supplies that I used in the description below the video. So the card base is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and it is bubble bath. Most of you that know me know I'm not a big pink fan, but I do love bubble bath, and I think that it looks lovely with gold. So hopefully you will give this a try and you will like it too. It is a very soft, subtle, and of course non-traditional color for Christmas, but I think it's lovely. So anyway, there's the card base. You'll need a piece of the distressed gold, which is one of my favorite papers, and I cut this at 4 1/16 by 5 5/16. I don't know why, because it's silly. It's a lot easier to cut your 12 by 12 sheets in 4 inches instead of wasting it at 4 1/16. So I'm going to give you the measurements that I used, but I'll also put my suggestions of what I should have used. So I should have made this probably 4 by 5 1/4. Then I have a piece of Very Vanilla. Again, a weird measurement, but I wanted just a tiny little layer of the gold behind the vanilla this time. So 3 15/16 by 5 3/16, and I've embossed it with the Merry Melody embossing folder, and it's a 3D embossing folder. It's the one with the music notes on it. you'll need a scrap of Very Vanilla for the sentiment and the little star. And I've actually inked over the Very Vanilla with the Bubble Bath ink. I'll show you how I did that. You will need a piece of Very Vanilla 4 inches by 5 1/4. I guess I should back to this embossed Merry Melody. If you're gonna cut your distressed gold at 4 by 5 1/4 instead of this size, cut your Very Vanilla panel that you're going to emboss at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 instead of this size. Okay, so 4 by 5 1/4 Very Vanilla, and that's what we're going to use for, we can cut 2 of these tags out of that piece. And then 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, and that is just what I used to stamp 3 of these trees, and I'll show you why I need 3 of them towards the end of the video. And then I also have a piece of gold foil that I have attached to an adhesive sheet. So in essence, this gold foil has been turned into stickers once you die cut something from it. And I did, the adhesive sheets come in a 6 by 12 sheet, and there's 3 2-inch strips on each sheet. So I cut a piece of the gold foil at 2 1/4 by 12 and laid it face down, and then laid the 2-inch by 12-inch adhesive sheet down on the back of that. So then you would have a great strip of things to die cut gold foil things out of. And then I also have a piece of, it's about a 9-inch piece of Very Vanilla ribbon with a gold edge. I think this one is retired. What I used on this original card is the gold and vanilla 3/8 inch satin edged ribbon, which is still a current item. You can order it, and I need to order more. But I ran out of that, so I had to grab something else. I am using also the Stars at Night stamp set. I used the Merry Christmas stamp from this set. And let's see. Let's get started on this card. I just dropped a bunch of paper on the floor. Now we'll have dog hair on everything, or more dog hair than we would have. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 4-inch by 5 1/4 inch piece of Very Vanilla that I'm going to make the tags with. And I'm going to grab my Christmas Tidings embossing folder, and this is just as cute as can be. I don't know if you can see the little images on it. Probably not. There's little gingerbread man, a lot of different sentiments, ornaments, presents. So what I'm going to do is I've got the Stampin' Up logo side up. I'm going to open this. I'm going to grab my Bubble Bath ink pad, and I'm just going to tap it right on the inside of that. Close up my ink pad So you can see that that's covered with ink. Now I'm going to take that piece of Very Vanilla, lay it on the back side that is not inked. I'm going to fold over the top of it, which is what has the ink on it. And this is what you're going to run through your machine to emboss. So let me run over and do that really quick. Sorry about that. I knew I was going to forget something. So there, when we open it up, it has pressed the ink down onto the paper, and then the images, the little gingerbread man and all the sentiments and things are popped up. Hopefully you can see that. So you can just take your embossing folder and run it under some water in your sink and then just dry it off or let it dry. They're really easy to clean. So let's set that aside. So I have already cut a die out, or excuse me, a tag out with the tag die. And like I said, you can cut 2 of these from this piece of paper. So we've got our tag here. And what I wanted to do, I'm going to grab my chair, to use this Enamel Effects, I am going to squeeze a little bit of it out on an acrylic block. You don't need a whole lot. And I've just got a sponge dauber, and I'm going to spread that around a little bit and pick it up on my dauber. And then you can just start applying it anywhere that you want on your tag. It kind of gives it a little bit of a vintage look, which is what I was going for. And it does add a little bit of shimmer and shine. Honestly, it's not super obvious, but it does create a nice effect. I'm pretty sure that this will not show up on the camera, but give it a try. You might like it. Since I put that on there so thin, it should not take very long to dry. So, and you don't have to use that if you don't want to. So let's see. Next, let's stamp some of our trees. And I've got my 4 1/4 by 8 1/2 sheet of Very Vanilla, piece of Very Vanilla. I've got the solid tree image stamp from the Merriest Trees stamp set. I'm going to stamp 3 of them. You don't have to. You can do one at a time if you want. And this is a large stamp. I'm going to stamp the whole thing, but we're really not going to use the bottom of the tree. So put one there. There's another one there. Give that a press. And then I'm going to flip my paper over. And give the third tree stamp down on there. Let me shut my ink pad. Okay, so there's our 3 trees. And then next, let's do, let's put our gold embossing on here. So I'm going to grab this other stamp from the set, and this is just kind of little, I don't know if you can see all these little lines, but those are what is going to be stamped. So let me get some powder on here. I probably shouldn't heat emboss all 3 of these at the same time, but let's give it a whirl. So I've got my Versamark ink. This is a clear sticky ink. So we'll ink that up good. Line it up on this tree. Hopefully I can do it without sticking my head in the camera. You probably, well, I'm pretty sure you will not be able to see that. So let's do this first one. And then we'll flip it over and do the middle one. So for those of you that have never done heat embossing, it's best to have the Versamark ink, some kind of powder, so this makes your embossing powder not stick all over to the static on the paper. And then you will need your embossing powder, and I'm using the Metallics embossing powder gold, and it comes in a set of 3, I think, white, gold, and silver. And then you will need a heat tool. So let's take our embossing powder and make a big mess. So I'm going to pour that on that first tree. See if I can scoot it down here to the second and third a little bit. Get it covered as best we can. Give it a little flick to get any of the excess powder off. And then we'll dump this back in our little container. Okay. And then you usually do end up with powder here and there. So let's grab our heat tool. Stampin' Up! Has a really nice one. I do not have it. This is a really old one. But it still works, so I'm going to keep using it. Got a little bit there where it isn't supposed to be. So I'm going to point this at the embossing powder and wiggle it around a little bit. You don't want to hold it in one place too long because it will burn your paper. Can you see that changing to a shiny gold? That's what you want. Okay, that looks good. And you can usually see there's a little bit of a different color if you haven't quite got it embossed completely. Hopefully you could hear some of what I was saying while that was on. I know it's noisy. So that's what that looks like when you get it embossed. It's so pretty. Okay, so next you would die cut these trees out, and I'll show you in a little bit the different dies that you can do that with, because it's a very interesting die set. So let's start putting together part of our card. Let's grab we've got our card base, and it is folded in half at 4 1/4, and we're going to score it. So we're going to take, this is a little tip or trick that you might want to use, you might not want to use. Let's see. Since this is my favorite paper and it goes out of stock and comes back in frequently, so sometimes it's hard to get a hold of, I like to hoard it as much as I can. So I'm not going to use this whole piece here. You can see that it would lay underneath that vanilla sheet. But I actually just need the little edge part. So what I'm going to do, you can take one of your rectangle dies if you have them, or any other die, or just cut it out with scissors if you want, and cut the center out and just use this frame. So I have the rectangle stitched framelets, and I am using the 4th from the smallest, 4th from the largest on this side over here to cut that out with. And then you'll have that little piece to use on some other project. So I've got embossing powder here. Let's take I can't remember if I told you that I embossed this with the Merry Melody 3D embossing folder. So let's take this piece and glue it to the gold, distressed gold piece. And remember, we're only going to want to glue it around the edge, so we don't want to put glue on the entire back of this piece. You could, but there's going to be a big hole where your glue would go through. So let's lay that down on our distressed gold piece. Try to line up the edges as evenly as we can. Give it a press. And then let's attach this to our card base, and for that I'm just going to use a tape runner. And check out your musical notes and make sure they are right side up. Don't be a Sally and do it upside down like I did on this one. That's right. And it's pretty hard to tell, but if you've got somebody musical that you're giving this to, they will know. Okay, so next, let's take our tag and we'll put some glue on the back of it. I guess I should have told you also, if you do use the enamel effects on an acrylic block, I don't know if you can see that where it has dried. It actually feels like, I don't even know how to explain it, concrete, and you're going to go, oh my gosh, what have I done? And it does not feel like it will come off. If you just use a little bit of hand sanitizer and water, some warm water, and rub it a little bit, it'll come off. I know, I thought I ruined my block. So we're going to lay this on here kind of at a diagonal. Let me grab a piece of paper. I can hear glue sticking to things. So I've got a tree that's embossed with gold. I've already die cut it. I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of it. I'm going to pop it up. I'll stick some little ones on here too. And I'll put a half of a little one at the very top. And let's take our covers off our dimensionals. And then I'm going to set my tree down on the front of my card. Hopefully I can get it so it's standing straight and tall. And then for the little star on the top, you could either die cut that out with a bubble bath paper, or what I did was just took some of my Very Vanilla because I didn't want the pink so obvious. And if you just take your ink pad, you can rub it on your paper, and then you can get that nice lighter color. It will dry lighter than this. So I've already done that, and I've cut my little star out. If I can get a hold of it. And then I've got my other star piece, the little edges. This is the one that was done on the adhesive sheet. So I'm going to peel that sticky adhesive sheet off the back, hopefully. If I can get one of these points started. And the solid star is not quite as big as the, I'm going to call it a filigree star. So I'm going to lay that down on the sticky sheet and give it a press. So there we've got a pink star with the gold edges. That's so pretty. I'm going to take a little bit of multi-purpose green glue and put it on the very top of the tree. And I guess I should mention, oops, when you die cut this foil, the little bumps for the holes for you to poke it out of the die are going to be on the foil. So you can just take your bone folder or something flat, a credit card or something, maybe a spatula, and press those out. So I'm going to lay my little star on top of my tree. Try to get it straight. And then I've already stamped and heat embossed my Merry Christmas sentiment, but I do want to show you how I cut it out to this size. So let me get my mini Stampin' cut and emboss machine. So as you can see, this die, again from the rectangle stitched framelits set, it's the smallest one out of this grouping. As you can see, it's actually a good bit longer than the sentiment is, and on this particular card that would not fit in here. I would not have room to do that. So I am going to cut it. So I've lined it up, taped this left side, and I'm going to cut it, but I'm not going to run it all the way through. So I've got my plate 1, plate 2, my paper and my die, and another plate 2, and a bunch of junk in the way. So I'm going to partially run this through, not all the way, back it out, and then I'm going to pull my die up, and you can see where it has just cut this left side of it. So you can take the die, line it up, and this works great with all of these rectangle dies. It will work with some of your other dies too. So I'm going to take it and line it up on this other side, and it actually, you'll feel it slide right into those grooves that it's already made. So I'm going to put my little piece of tape back on there. Get my plate 1, plate 2. So this is a great hack if you think you don't have a die that fits the sentiment that you want to use. And again, we're not going to run it through the whole way. I'm going to back it back out. And there we've got the size that we need. So I hope you'll remember that tip. It's a great one, and I actually use it all the time. Okay, so next, how about let's glue our sentiment down. I am going to take my green glue, put it on the back of my sentiment. And I'm just gonna set that kind of right next to that star, but I don't want the star covering up the swirly on the C. And then I have got a bow that I already made. I did make it with my little bow maker. For those of you that haven't seen these either, check it out. I think I got it off of Amazon. If you haven't seen it before, hang on a second and I'll make one really quick. So I have marked mine. If I want it this size, which is what I usually use, I need 9 inches of ribbon. So you're going to set this behind those 2 pegs, cross the right over the left, and it needs to be just a little bit longer. Tuck it clear under the back, and then you're going to pull it over to the front. And I always want it, when it comes over to the front, a little bit longer. And then I'm going to go under that one and then through the hole. Then you just grab your tails, give it a nice tug, and then you've got your bow. So you can kind of pull it into the shape that you like, and then cut your tails however you want them to be. I just am not a great bow maker, so I just think that's a wonderful product. It is for me anyway. So I'm going to take just a little glue dot and stick it to the back of that bow. And they always want to stick to my fingers more than any of the project pieces that I'm using. So we'll put that right on top of our tag piece. And then I'm just going to add a few of these gold pearls from the Festive Pearls pack. Excuse me. I'm going to put one up here, one over here, and one down here. So that is the card. Some different techniques and steps to use, but I think it's well worth it. So let me show you something else that you can do. This set of tree dies. Let me get my dies out, because I don't think I have them all. There's this large tree in the die set, which I did not use. And then there's a smaller one and a smaller one and a smaller one, and then the very tip. So you can make a tree out of each one of these if you want, or you can layer them, which is what I'm going to do now, what I'm going to show you. So I'm only going to use 3. I'm not using the biggest one or the smallest one. So I've already adhered this tree to my card. You could put dimensionals on these, and this is on dimensionals, but if you put dimensionals on both of these pieces, I think it's really going to make it thick. I don't know if what I'm going to show you is actually going to help any. I'm going to take this next piece and I'm going to put some dimensionals on the bottom. And then I'm going to take a glue dot, or you could just put some glue on it. And I'm just going to put a glue dot on the tip of the tree. So let's take the covers off of our dimensionals. And I'm going to lay this piece. You can see that it fits exactly the same as what's under it, if I can get it right. So I've got my 2 dimensionals here and my glue dot here. So this is sticking up. This is a little bit flatter. So let's do that again on this piece. I think I'll put smaller dimensionals on it. Oh my goodness, Willow. So there's 2 small glue dots and another, or excuse me, 2 small mini dimensionals and a glue dot. So let's line this piece up. Push our dimensionals down and then our glue dot. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but it adds a lot of dimension to this card. And of course, if you do this, you will have to use the hand stamped butterfly extra postage for this. Or you could make these and just hand them to people if you're at an event where that's going to happen. So I guess I don't need to finish this. I did also make a card in Lost Lagoon. So here is the Lost Lagoon card. I think you can see it a little bit better. And I also did put the gold enamel effects on here. It's really hard to see on the camera. So there's the bubble bath and the Lost Lagoon. Let me know which one you like better. I think I like the pink. I don't know. I'm not sure. I like pink and gold together. Let me know what you think. I hope that you'll give this project a try. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time with me. If you like my videos, please give me the thumbs up. Share them with your friends and family, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Thanks.